Welcome to a special Christmas edition of Tales Under the Cat Tree. It's all about holiday traditions today, yours and mine, whether you embrace the tinsel, the lights, and whatever else, or if you shut yourself inside playing the Grinch 24/7.
All right, are you going to start? You want me to start?
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Angie, and we're here in Newfoundland.
So my favorite Christmas tradition is frozen cookies. Growing up, my mom would start baking sometime in probably early November, late October. And we had a big chest freezer that would be filled with Nanaimo bars and shortbread cookies with little cherries on top, which I hate. More on that later. And she would always say, you know, these are for Christmas. So inevitably, young Mark would need cookies. So I would dig into the freezer and eat cookies right out of the freezer. And always take from the bottom layer so that you wouldn't know that I was stealing the cookies. But then, particularly with shortbread, because I didn't like the cherries, I would pick the cherries off. But then I couldn't throw the cherries in the garbage because Mom would see the cherries in the garbage. So I had to hide the cherries somewhere until Christmas. So I would hide them in the couch cushions.
I didn't know that part of the story at all until right now.
And then I would mine them out and put them in. By which point I was already in trouble because I'd eaten half the cookies anyway. So to this day, I'm almost 50 years old. I still prefer my cookies frozen. And that's Christmas.
Okay, so note to self, either don't put cherries on the shortbread or check the couch cushions.
Check the couch cushions for random fruit, yes. And then since we've been married, I guess I should do the current favorite tradition is sitting around being very Grinchy while Angie does all the decorating. Well, I kind of lug everything up and then I sit there satisfied and Angie does all the work.
Yeah. And then we have a beautiful home.
And then
ready for Christmas.
Yeah. And it's delightful. What's yours?
My
Enough
favorite?
about me.
I think, and I didn't know this was my favorite tradition until Mark pointed it out, is that I love Christmas carols. Like true religious, away in a manger, joy to the world, Christmas carols. I'm not religious at all, but I grew up in a religious household. We'd go to church and sing the Christmas carols. So now, like December 1st, the Christmas songs get put on my phone so that I can hear them. And the other thing to it is I sing out loud at the top of my lungs to Christmas carols, and I cannot sing whatsoever. And so it brings me a bit of joy for some reason.
Well, you lack in skill, you make up for in enthusiasm.
Yeah, I would say that's probably true. But I would say that's probably my favorite thing about Christmas.
Whether you're hiding frozen cherries in couch cushions or singing at the top of your lungs, there's so many ways we feel comfortable at this time of the year. I love this time of the year, even if it means long nights and cold temperatures here in the northern latitudes. Regardless of how religious you are, I love the idea that there's a season where we acknowledge the value of the people in our life with gifts and food. The lead up to Christmas is filled with certain traditions in the Western world. Every year these days, I look forward to setting up a real pine tree. These days, we get it delivered, but I've trudged across snowy landscape, had the misfortune of having to clean 1 million pine needles out of the car seats, and rarely, and mostly in Canada, gone hunting with an axe.
My name is Rohith. I like going out behind our house and cutting down the tree with the family, and then taking turns dragging it up. When we were younger, I was always the one who I drove the tree up back on my dad's Jeep. And then one year she was like, oh, I want to drive it. And she was around how old was she, you think? Yeah, 12 or 13. And so I was like, all right, you can drive this. Your first time driving. You can. So we tied the Christmas tree to the top of the Jeep. She made it 10, 15 seconds, plowed right into the side of a tree, smashed the headlights. Yeah, she didn't drive for a few years after that.
The December holiday season is one of the few times that the whole world seems to take a collective breather. Certainly, it's the case in the northern latitudes of the Western world. It's a time for people to reach out to one another. One of my traditions are the Christmas Day and Boxing Day calls to friends and family around the world. As long as I've been away from Newfoundland for the last 25 years or so, I feel like I've always been on the phone somewhere during the holiday season. When COVID happened, we all started video conferencing. There's nothing more joyful than hearing the voice or seeing the face of a friend or a family member on the other end of a line during the holiday season.
Hi, I'm Jessie, and I grew up outside of Ottawa in a small town. And my mom, every Christmas, would send out a letter to the rest of the family highlighting, the successes of the year and what happened. And I still like to do that myself. I design my own card every year, write down some elements, and then snail mail it to my friends and family.
Hi, my name is Steve. Because my family is distributed across Canada and in Chile, we get together and have a Zoom call with everybody joining from different parts of the world. We do that every Christmas Eve on the 24th.
Now, I didn't grow up celebrating Christmas. My parents are Buddhist and we were living in Hong Kong. The big celebration growing up was Chinese New Year. As a British colony, though, we did sing carols, we made mince tarts at school, and we had the customary decorations. In Hong Kong, though, the idea of a fat man coming through a non-existent fireplace into our 21st story flat was simply ridiculous. Despite this, my parents did have a couple of festive traditions. My dad would go about the house singing Mary's Boy Child by Boney M, and my mother would love to watch The Sound of Music, which came on every year around that time. By the time I left home, I could recite the entire Sound of Music. Every year, I love curling up with a Christmas movie, and nowadays, we create the list of all Christmas movies to watch during the holiday season. I can definitely say that some of the movies have not stood the test of time.
Hi, I'm Aaron. And every Christmas now, my mother still comes up. She lives right next door to us. And she comes up on Christmas Eve. And we can all open one present before Christmas. And then she reads her old copy that she still has from when she was a kid of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And she reads it out loud by the fire. And then we all take a picture in our Christmas pajamas. And yeah, that's a nice little Christmas tradition.
Hey, I'm Peter, and I grew up in Ottawa, Ontario. The Christmas tradition that I have is our whole family would listen to 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, the jazz edition by Wynton Marsalis, which is actually crazy good, and I highly recommend you listen to it.
Hi, I'm Farhan. I'm from Vancouver. I grew up in pretty much Vancouver. So growing up, I don't have a lot of traditions, but I would say now with my kids and family, my wife is Catholic, so she's got lots of traditions that we've brought into our family. Whenever my father-in-law comes, we sit around and drink whiskey together and share stories. The stories I love the most about it is hearing their stories growing up about their traditions and what was fun for them. We don't do it every year, but we're trying to do it more regularly, is on Christmas Eve, go to Christmas Mass. And as a family, we've been doing this probably since my first age daughter was 3 years old, so I think 6 years running. On Christmas Eve, we'll lay blankets down in our living room, and now we've got 3 kids, so all of us together will sleep together, watch a Christmas movie, fall asleep, and then when everyone's sleeping, my wife and I will go to the basement, wrap all the presents, and slowly bring it in under the tree. But we want to wake up together as a family rather than in separate rooms, so we wake up together in the living room. It's probably my favorite tradition because it's our family tradition.
Every place I've lived have had different traditions, whether it's mummering in Newfoundland, which of course no one does anymore, or attending Handel's Messiah in Montreal. In many places, it's sometimes about the solitude or enjoying the quiet moments. In Finland, there are Christmas saunas in each apartment building, and I have to say and admit that I have actually never attended my building's Christmas sauna, and many do go for polar bear dips.
I'm Colette. My favorite Christmas tradition is heading out to my cabin between Christmas and New Year's, turning off everything electronic, putting in the wood stove, and just chilling.
Hi, my name is Toby. I'm going to be a bit shorter with my story, but my favorite tradition is a Christmas Day morning sauna.
Hi, my name is Raul, and I'm gonna be on the contrary of Toby. So my favorite Christmas tradition is ice swimming on Christmas morning and New Year's Eve and so on.
Hi, my name is Mirpa, and my favorite Christmas tradition is going to the Hakaniemi marketplace in the Christmas Eve morning and drink mulled wine and buy the last Christmas foods from there.
But what I find amazing about traditions as I've listened to people are how far we bring them, from generation to generation and then from country to country. From Newfoundland, I have brought Mount Sio Savory to cook Christmas dinner in Finland, and now a tradition of hanging and filling stockings. I love that I am now teaching and infusing my traditions and Newfoundland traditions into a country so remotely removed from Newfoundland as Finland is.
Hi, I'm Joe, and I'm originally from Malaysia, now living in Newfoundland for 16 years. My Christmas tradition in my household is we do this thing called novena, which is a Colombian tradition, where every night for 12 nights for Christmas, we pretend to play instruments, followed by reading like scripture, and then after a game, Christmas game for the kids. So.
Okay, hi, my name's Andrew. So my favorite Christmas tradition, I think, is what we did growing up. Everyone has, the stockings and the Christmas presents, but Mum is British and my dad was Hungarian. So we kind of mixed these things up, and it was actually great for us kids. So what we did was we stayed up till midnight. Then we opened all our presents, on the 24th. Yeah. But then when we got up in the morning, there were the Christmas stockings. So we had the best of both, and we got to stay up till midnight and open our presents. So, it was basically the best possible circumstance for kids that you could imagine.
One of the things that I had to get used to here in Finland is, as Andrew said, celebrating Christmas on the 24th rather than Christmas Day. These days, we open gifts on both Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, which makes the season twice as giving. Whereas in Newfoundland, Christmas is a go-go-go party of fun and family when it comes to traditions, there's a more somber quality to the celebrations in Finland. It could be because of the darkness. It could be because Finnish independence on December the 6th coincides with the end of a brutal and bloody civil war. But there are also special traditions that we now have when we make, for example, porridge every Christmas.
My name is Tony. My father is a retired military officer, and every Christmas, the retired military officers take turns standing on the hero's grave on the Hietaniemi cemetery in Helsinki. And as a result, I also spend 30 minutes at the cemetery every Christmas Eve, which has become a little bit of a tradition. And I go around the graves of my ancestors and put candles on those. And once I'm done with that, because I always get lost, because for some reason it feels like they change places every year, then I go and pick him up when he's done with his standing in place for 30 minutes. And then we go home and eat traditional Finnish Christmas food, including ceviche.
Hi, I'm Ralph. I really like to go hunting for a Christmas tree. So we go to our summer place in Nagu to really find the best one. And not so easy. But then on Christmas Eve, my parents are dead, so we visit the cemetery. And with the thousands and thousands and thousands of lights, candles that you have there, it's become a quite good tradition.
Hello, my name is Patrick. We have a family tradition that in the morning there's always some presents under the Christmas tree. And when I was little, we got up with my sister like at 6, 7 a.m. and woke each other up She's my twin sister, and we run to look under the Christmas tree to find some presents, the first presents there, and it was always super exciting. Now, of course, the tradition has moved on. I have 3 children of my own, and they are already, 16, 17, and 19, but they also get up early and run to look under the Christmas tree if there are some presents. And believe it or not, maybe this year there will also be presents already. And as a secret, I can tell you that we put them already late the night before under the Christmas tree. But after that, we also always have a tradition of kind of lighting all the Christmas lights and then having a Christmas porridge, which is a big thing in Finland, where there you put an almond in, and then the big suspense is always who will get the almond and the secret extra wish. And I can tell you, last time I got an almond and the wish. So that was super funny. First time for probably in 20 years. So.
And this is where I bring it all back to Newfoundland. If you ask me, why am I so caught up in Christmas? It's really about Newfoundland. It is, after all, the place that created Tibbs Eve.
I'm Steph, and my favorite Christmas tradition is Tibbs Eve, where you go out and you hang out with your friends before spending time with your family on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Tibbs Eve is a Newfoundland tradition. Oh, it's December 23rd. Yeah, so it's the day before Christmas Eve.
Hi, I'm JP. Similar to Steph, one of my favorite traditions is also Tibbs Eve in Newfoundland. Like she says, December 23rd, just usually a night with friends, sometimes with family, sometimes away from family. There's also a kind of traditional drink that goes with it called Newfoundland Slush. You get a clean beef bucket. You fill it up with like a drink. Do you remember what's in it?
Yeah, there's it's like juice, so like pineapple juice, 7-Up, orange juice, and then like some kind of like...
Is it tequila or
like
vodka?
rum,
Anything,
whatever
really.
you want, really.
Yeah, it's any liquor you have. Really, that's what I was trying to remember. Yeah, you freeze it. It's kind of like an icy, slushy mix. Top it up with 7-Up and hand it out to everyone.
Christmas is about my friends and my adopted family. Christmas reminds me of all the reasons why I chose Newfoundland over any other place in the world to call home. In the early 90s, I was invited by my friend Eddie to his parents' place around the bay, in the tiny village of Hodges Cove. Despite us all being in our early 20s, Eddie's mom and dad made sure Santa came in the middle of the night while we slept, even for their out-of-town guest. I was welcomed from house to house and party to party. In this small town during Christmas, I decided these were the traditions that I wanted as my own. And more Newfoundland traditions followed through the many friends that adopted me for many a Christmas. I rolled about on the floor like a kid at Sue's parents covered in wrapping paper. I connected with Deanna's family singing Boney M on Christmas visits, and I'll happily dance a jig to an accordion. So my traditions, like the now infamous pre-Christmas Sri Lankan food dinners, whether in Edmonton, Montreal, Kingston, or Helsinki, they come from Newfoundland. The traditions I keep remind me of where I call home and the friends that make up my life. With this, I will bring this episode to a close. I want to thank everyone who gave me their stories. Our traditions are part of who we are. And these stories have been about family, friendship, comfort, and for many, the joy of being together. So here is one last set of stories from my friend Andrew, and one of the many traditions that I have even carried over to Finland for New Year's.
Hi, my name is Andrew. Dupes has wired me up and asked me what my favorite Christmas traditions were, and what ones maybe I'll be creating. There's definitely a number of different traditions that have come and gone. Those that I had as a child, I have to say a lot of them were simply based around letting my folks sleep as late as they could. But it did mean that we did tumble down over the stairs a la movies to go and open up all these presents that Santa left. Wonderful fun. And it was we would have almost days that looked a little like that Christmas movie with the kids tumbling down and ripping everything to shreds in A Christmas Story, which actually became one of the Christmas traditions as we got older. After the Days of Santa, we would put on that movie nonstop. And that became the morphing from being the children running down the stairs to having it in the background anyway. And actually, I'll put that movie on nonstop for 24 hours from the moment I get up until the last person goes to sleep. It's just playing in the background. I think the biggest tradition that held for the longest time wasn't actually Christmas, it was New Year's. And Dupes, you've been here many times for this. And that predates me being in this house when Anne Martin had it and would have a huge party that spanned generations and social groups and everything else. And the whole house was full of love. You could meet almost anyone at this party. And it was just a hangout. It was be happy, be kind, meet the people that maybe you haven't seen in a couple of years, or at least since the last New Year's party. And Anne, lovely Scottish lady, before midnight would kick all the men out of the house. And all the women would line up at the front door, waiting until the stroke of midnight. The old year would get swept out the back door. The new year gets swept in and carried in by the men who've been standing outside in the cold waiting. And the first three across the threshold would bring food in the form of a loaf of bread, would bring warmth in the form of a piece of firewood, and spirit in the form of good scotch, which we may or may not have been passing around outside to stay warm. With the one caveat that the first person had to be a tall, dark stranger who was selected from the crowd of all the participants in around midnight, and the last person had to be the redheads. Inevitably, Seamus was always the last one to come in, and the decision on the stranger of all the strangers that would be there for the night would be made through the course of the evening by Anne, and some poor, unfortunate person who'd never been there before would be leading this group in, carrying a stick of wood, and promptly kissed by all of the women all the way up down the huge hall into the house. That tradition sat for a long time, and when we got the house and rehabbed it, we continued it. Actually, we continued it for quite some time. And it only really broke when COVID broke. And we've had smaller versions of it since, but never the same. That tradition, however, there are other families and households that have continued it beyond. So really, even though it isn't hosted here like that anymore, I think it is still being hosted everywhere else. It's kind of cool. I'm pretty pleased with that.
Thank you for listening. Thank you to everyone who brought me their stories from Canada to Finland. We recorded Colette, Andrew, Aaron, and Rohith while sitting under the jester at the Duke of Duckworth. Jesse, Steph, JP, Steve, Peter, Joe, and Farhan are from the fabulous St. John's-based Canadian company Hey Orca. Tony, Toby, Ralph, Raoul, Patrick, and Merva are my Finnish colleagues at Open Ocean here in Helsinki, Finland. Mark, Angie, and Andrew Smith were recorded at their respective houses. This entire episode is the brainchild of my fabulous partner, Suvi. To all my friends and family, I wish you a very Merry Christmas no matter where you are. Thank you for being with me on 34 episodes of Tales Under the Cat Tree. I didn't think I would make it all the way to a special Christmas episode. I hope you have enjoyed the episodes I have done. If you have, please take the time to subscribe. Or better yet, please share this episode so I can grow my listenership. I will be back with a special New Year's Day episode, and we'll be back to whatever is quote-unquote normal for this podcast on January the 12th. Have a great holiday season.
Your mother must have known. Like, did your mother know that you were putting the cherries in the couch cushions?
No, of course
Ever.
not.
She never knew.
She never found out.
Did you confess it to her as an adult?
No, I'm not an idiot.
Well, as an adult, what's she going to do?
I don't know. Get mad at me? She's my mom.